Hey there, this is Dr. Tall Paul Simon, psychiatrist. Wanted to touch base with you about fatigue. Are you tired a lot? Kind of no energy, all kind of stuff, just dragging butt all day? Yeah, so we call that fatigue. There can be lots of causes of fatigue. So let's talk about it a little bit. So the most common cause of fatigue is, of course, not getting enough sleep. Sleep hygiene, good sleep habits are always number one. Okay, so there are other causes. We'll get to that in a couple minutes, of course. But sleep, what is a normal amount of sleep? Number one, we always think about the amount, right? That's what everybody thinks about. Well, I get enough sleep, but I'm still tired. It's like, okay, how much are we really talking about? So, normal amount of sleep for most people, 90% of people, is somewhere between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. Some people do great on 7, some people need 9. 5% of people can get by with less than that. 5% of people can get by or need to get more than that, so 10 hours of sleep. It also depends on the age of the person, right? So actually, most teenagers need about, on average, about 8 hours of sleep, somewhere between the 7 and 9 hours. Adults need similar amount of sleep, and most kids also need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. Now, there's a couple of groups of people that really need more. They are babies, as you know, but also young adult males, so late adolescent males, about 19 to 23, 24, really need 10 hours of sleep, sometimes even more to feel normal. Okay, so, but if you're outside of those two groups, babies and young adult, late adolescent males, okay, normal amount of sleep is about 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Okay, now, so there's the amount of sleep that is normal. Now, usually the amount of sleep somebody needs is a genetic thing or runs in the family. So if somebody's not quite sure, they've never had good sleep habits, well, how much sleep do I really need? Maybe ask your parents, your siblings, and see how much sleep they really need. And that might give you some guideline on how much sleep you really should be aiming for. Most people, about 8 hours. I need like 8 and a quarter to feel, pretty good. So everybody's a little different. Find your zone. Now, what is just as important as the amount of sleep is the regularity of sleep. Okay, so going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time. Now, people often will tell me, well, during school days or, work week, I go to bed at, 9 and get up at 6, but weekends don't count, holidays don't count. It's like, yes, they do. Your brain doesn't care what day of the week it is. It wants what it wants, okay? You still have to eat and drink water. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is, your body needs what it needs. So regularity is the key. Now, okay, maybe 15, 30 minutes on the weekend, I get it. But really, just like animals and birds and nature and stuff, they're very regular in their sleep habits. And there's a circadian rhythm that is very important to functioning in nature. And we're in nature, really. Um, so that regularity really is key. They call it a circadian rhythm for a reason. Okay, a rhythm is a pattern, a regular pattern. So that circadian rhythm is really important. Now, there's a lot of other things that can cause fatigue outside of bad sleep habits or irregular sleep habits. So let's talk a little bit about that. So first thing I always look at is physical health problems. Okay. So when I'm evaluating somebody for depression or, fatigue and these things, I always look for a cause for that fatigue. Okay. So now physical things that can cause fatigue. Number one, I think is sleep apnea. Okay. Um, so sleep apnea is just where you're not breathing too good at night and you snore maybe, but not everybody that has sleep apnea snores. So that's a common thing. Kids can have sleep apnea as well, and they're even less likely to snore than adults. So, um, the key with sleep apnea is not how the person thinks they sleep at night, it's how tired they are during the day. So, when we're screening for sleep apnea, we never ask about, oh, well, how well do you sleep at night? We always ask, okay, how tired are you during the day? because that's an indicator really of how the person's sleeping at night. So sleep apnea basically is apnea is a term without breath. So somebody doesn't breathe very well at night. So I have a little bit of sleep apnea and I have to lay on my side or else it really causes problems. I snore a lot and wake up my wife. So you don't have to have a really thick neck. I've got a skinny pink pencil neck. You don't have to have a real thick neck to have sleep apnea. You don't have to be, old and flabby and all that stuff, though I'm both of those things. Uh, so there's some misconceptions there with sleep apnea. And fatigue. So another big thing that we run into with fatigue during the day is restless leg syndrome. That can be an issue. So sleep studies can help diagnose sleep apnea, especially, or restless leg syndrome. But a lot of times, the restless leg syndrome, you can tell if the partner mentions it, that they jump around a lot or move around a lot or are fidgety, or their kind of legs are a little crampy or just kind of can't quite um, get settled in. It's just kind of uncomfortable when you're trying to go to sleep. That can be restless leg syndrome. And that can be treated with medications and magnesium or gabapentin. That's another one, or Requip that's used for restless leg syndrome. Sleep apnea, fortunately, you're talking about like a sleep study for evaluation and maybe a CPAP, basically a device that you wear. So that's a bummer, but it is what it is. So other causes for fatigue. So start thinking about low iron. That's a very common one. Low vitamin D to some extent. So um, vitamin B12, if that's a little bit low, people can have low energy and things. Um, thyroid problems. If somebody has a thyroid problem. Now, thyroid is a gland in your neck. It's kind of like the gas pedal of the body. So if your thyroid's working right, you should have decent energy and things, unless something else is holding you back. Um, but if it's too much, you get too much energy and get excitable and anxious. But if it's too low, kind of have low energy and kind of draggy. Now, so when I'm working somebody up for fatigue, I'm looking at other possible causes for that fatigue, medical stuff first. Okay, so order set of blood labs. I look at iron, I look at thyroid, vitamin B12, vitamin D, and ask about their sleep habits. Okay, now if we kind of rule out those things, okay, what about depression? What about anxiety? Those are really biggies. Um, so if somebody's really depressed, one of the symptoms can be sleep trouble, right? Same thing with anxiety. Now, if somebody sleeps a lot and they're depressed, it can be almost their go-to, their escape, right? So if your life is stressed or unhappy and, sleep is your safe zone, your safe space or whatever, you can kind of get into a pattern of just sleeping a lot and being avoidant. But a lot of that is based on habits and stuff. So then we're talking about treating the depression and the anxiety itself, not giving sedatives for somebody who has sleep trouble per se. It's really treating the cause of the sleep trouble. So we'll get more into not sleeping well or not sleeping enough in another video, but this video is more about that fatigue. So look at sleep apnea, look at sleep habits. Number one, sleep hygiene. Um, some common health issues that you want to look at. There's others too in there, but talk to your primary doc about it, and make sure you're not, depressed or something like that. Just trying to hide away and escape. So I hope this video has been helpful. Please subscribe. Please, please, please subscribe to my channel, and you guys take care. Right? Bye.